All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're going to explore the hidden wonders of something you probably touch every single day, totally without a second thought. I mean, we're looking at an object so incredibly ubiquitous, so, profoundly ordinary, that it is just way too easy to overlook how much it literally altered the course of human history. We are talking about something sitting quietly in the background of your life right now that actually holds the secret to our entire global dominance. So, if I were to ask you right this second to name humanity's absolute most important invention, what instantly jumps to your mind? I want you to really think about it. The greatest innovations, the ones that permanently changed our evolutionary destiny, completely shifted how we survive, and allowed us to just conquer the globe. Take a second. What's your answer? Well, you'd probably point to the usual suspects, right? Mastering fire, so we could cook food, scare off predators, and basically not freeze to death during the ice ages. Or, the invention of the wheel to move really heavy stuff over huge, unforgiving distances. Or maybe even the internet, connecting all of us in this invisible, instant web of information. And yeah, those are monumental leaps for sure. They completely define eras of history. But there's a surprisingly unsung hero hiding right there in the archaeological record. And that hero is the bag. Yeah, no kidding, the humble bag. A woven basket, maybe a stitched leather pouch, a really simple baby sling. I know it almost sounds like the punchline to a joke, but anthropologists have actually found that the mundane bag is a massive cognitive achievement. It's this keystone human innovation that completely transformed how our ancestors interacted with the whole world around them. Arguably, it's just as big of a deal as fire or the wheel. Okay, to really appreciate this, let's move into Section 1, Evolutionary History, and check out the deep roots of how our ancestors started carrying things across space and time. First up, we kind of need to nail down what we even mean when we say the bag. Basically, a mobile container is just a tool used for the explicit purpose of holding and transporting other things. And that definition is huge. It ranges from super simple ropes and vines used to tie gathered stuff together, all the way up to those massive modern-day container ships carrying tons of international cargo. In evolutionary circles, they call these meta-tools. Basically tools whose entire job is to be a tool for other tools. They let early humans build up these complex portable toolkits instead of just relying on, whatever they could hold in their two hands at any given moment. Which brings us to a super fascinating divide between us and the rest of the animal kingdom. Now, some animals do actually use makeshift containers, like chimpanzees will ingeniously fold up leaves to scoop up drinking water, and sea otters will wrap crabs in kelp to sort of pin them down while they eat. But here's the kicker. Animals only use these as temporary, right-now fixes. Once the water is gone or the crab is eaten, they just toss the leaf for the kelp. They completely lack the foresight to keep them, protect them, or make them better. Humans, though, we build highly flexible containers specifically for things we anticipate needing way off in the future. Looking at the hard archaeological evidence, it only goes back about 100,000 years. That's when we start seeing early humans storing pigments, like ochre, in natural shell containers. By 50,000 years ago, we see manufactured stalagmite and wood containers. And by 10,000 years ago, we get the Pesce canoe, which, if you think about it, is really just a giant wooden container designed to carry humans across water. Now, you might be wondering, wait, if this was so foundational, why don't we have older evidence? Well, it's simple. Bags rot. Early baskets, woven nets, and animal hides decay. So the true origin of the bag is probably far, far older than what survived for us to dig up. But hey, the physical artifacts are really only half the story here. Section 2 is all about the cognitive leap, focusing on the massive mental upgrades that actually made these physical things possible. The absolute crucial point here is a concept called physical offloading. So you know how we use cognitive offloading today, like writing a grocery list or setting an alarm on your phone so you don't have to keep it all in your brain? Well, our ancestors learned to physically offload. They looked at their own natural carrying capacity, 2 hands, 2 arms, realized their limits, and invented an external artifact to compensate for it. That was a profound, absolute game changer of a realization. Essentially, I am physically limited, but I can build a thing to break past that limit. And this incredible leap is entirely powered by foresight. Foresight is the magic ingredient that turns a temporary fix into a permanent snowballing innovation. It's the ability to anticipate a problem before it actually happens. Because we recognize that a bag is going to be useful again tomorrow, we don't just ditch it when we're done carrying today's berries. We keep it. We protect it from the elements. And maybe next time, we intentionally weave it a little tighter to make it better. This cognitive upgrade is literally what let early humans carry a custom, artificial habitat around with them everywhere they migrated. To really grasp how deep this runs in human nature, let's step out of evolutionary history for a second and look at Section 3, Childhood Origins, exploring early container use in kids today. Researchers actually set up this super fascinating pilot study with about 100 kids between the ages of 3 and 7, and the methodology was just brilliantly simple, totally designed to test their spontaneous problem solving. Step 1, the kid meets a stuffed animal named Tigger in one room, and Tigger is really sad because he needs toys. Step 2, the kid is sent over to a second room, Mickey Mouse's room, which is absolutely loaded with toys. Step 3, the researcher tells the child, bring back as many toys as you can in one single trip and promises them a bigger sticker reward for a bigger haul. Now, the setup of Mickey's room is where it gets really clever. Spread out on a little table are exactly 29 toys and one totally standard woven basket. Just sitting there. It's hidden in plain sight. Crucially, though, the researchers never explicitly told the kids to use the basket. They just stepped back, kept their mouths shut, and waited to see if the kid's developing brain would recognize the basket as a tool to physically offload and maximize that sticker reward. And the results are just striking. You see a perfectly clear, linear growth in a child's ability to recognize their own physical limits and just instinctively grab the basket as they get older. Less than a quarter of the 3-year-olds figured it out. Most of them just tried to awkwardly bear hug as many toys as they could and inevitably dropped them all over the floor. But by age 7, nearly 80% of the kids immediately locked onto the basket, loaded that thing up, and effortlessly hauled a massive pile of toys back to Tigger. As they mature, that unique capacity for foresight and physical offloading just naturally boots up. And we should definitely note, this is not just some Western phenomenon. This psychological development spans cultures all over the globe. Ethnographic data actually shows kids around the world instinctively mimicking adult behaviors to master the art of the container. Like we see Paracana children in Brazil turning palm leaf basket weaving into a game. Developing the skill to create and use mobile containers is a universal human milestone. It is hardwired right into our collective development as a species. So let's zoom all the way back out to the modern world for our final part, Section 4, Our Human Future, and see how this simple innovation scaled up. It is wild to see how this builds recursively over time. What started out as a literal animal hide slung over some prehistoric shoulder has turned into this incredibly complex system of what they call recursive embedding. It's like Russian nesting dolls, right? Think about it. You've got pockets sewn into your clothes, you pack those clothes into woven suitcases, you throw the suitcases into steel cars, and then we drive those cars onto giant ocean-faring container ships to cross the entire globe. Our whole modern global economy is, at its core, just an endlessly scaled-up version of that very first prehistoric basket. Which leads us to a quote from the research that I think just perfectly sums up the whole shebang. Mobile containers allowed our ancient forebears to maintain a local habitat, to have tools and resources at the ready wherever they went. The bag literally, and I mean literally, allowed us to carry our survival, our specialized tools, and ultimately our entire culture right along with us as we expanded out of Africa and across the entire planet. So tomorrow morning, when you grab your backpack for work, or toss your groceries into a canvas tote, or honestly even just slide your smartphone into your pocket, take a second. Appreciate that you are participating in a 100,000-year-old tradition of pure human foresight. And that leaves me with one final question for you to chew on. Considering how this one shockingly simple tool completely altered the destiny of our entire species, what are you carrying into your future today?